Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today we're going to be working on our second Greek square block. This is block number 20. We did 13, so now we're on to 20. And it amazes me how different this block looks than our last one did. And it's just based on the colors of the fabric that we used. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my center aside and my 8 rectangles. We're going to just concentrate on these 2 pieces of fabric first, and what I'm going to do is just draw a diagonal line corner to corner in order to make the half square triangles. So I'm just taking this is my Creative Grids 2.5 by 18.5 inch ruler in my friction pen, and I'm just drawing a line across it. What I'll do is I'll put this fabric and this one right here together, and so 1/4 of an inch away on both sides of the drawn line. And what this will do is these 2 fabrics will create 4 half square triangles for me. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to put a couple pins in, and I will be taking this over to the sewing machine and getting these sewn. Alright. Once I've got them sewn, I'll bring them back over and I will show you how I'm going to press them, and then we'll go on to working with our rectangles. So I'll be back in just a minute. Alright, here's my 2 blocks sewn. I'll bring it up so you can see. Well, maybe we better go this side. Now I think you can see my stitching lines, and it is 1/4 of an inch away from both sides that we drew. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take my scissors and cut these apart on that drawn line, and then after we've done that, we're going to set our seams, and then we're going to press them. Now I've already made this block once, so I know right now I'm going to be pressing my seams open. Then once I press them open, I'm then going to square them up per the instructions. So I lay those all down. Now I'm just going to set my iron on them and get my seams all nice and set. Now I'll grab my strip stick and I'm going to press these open. I always like to give it an extra press when I've done half square triangles. I'll set that one right there, just about in your view. Keep going here. Alright, all of my 4 half square triangles are now pressed. So now I'm going to get these trimmed up. So let me set this aside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is my 9.5 inch Creative Grids ruler, and what I'm going to do is, per the directions, square these right up. And I will be using, hopefully you can see this right here, there's a very dark line that goes from corner to corner. That's my 45-degree line. So I'm going to line that up with the seam that I've created, and I'm going to line it up in a couple of spots. I'm going to make sure that it goes all the way up to the point here, and then I'm just going to give a glance around to make sure that I'm on target. I'll hold it down and I'll go up the right side with my rotary cutter and then across the top. I'll clean up those little threads that I've cut. Then I'm going to pick it up and just rotate it around. Now remember, this corner was up here. Now it's at the bottom. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to line up my 45-degree. I'm going to check across the bottom and on the left side to make sure I'm good and square, and just trim it up. I'll do the other 3 And then we will be moving on to our rectangles. And next we're going to work on these. So for our rectangles, what we're going to do is just put them right sides together, and we'll sew 1/4 of an inch down the long seam, or the length of it. So I'm just gonna get these all nice and lined up. And then I will take them over to my sewing machine and sew them, and then I'll be right back. I have sewn all 4 of these. I'm just gonna line them up, set my seams. And the last time I made this block, I pressed my seams to one side. This time I'm gonna press my seams open. I think I'll like that just a little bit better. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Let me get these pressed and then I'll show you, or at least one of them. Lay it down. I'm just going to give it another little burst of heat. And I'll pull this one out. On this one, I know you're not going to be able to see it on camera, but when I run my finger across there, I can feel that bump. I can feel the fact that there's just 1 layer of fabric here and there's 3 here. But with this one, because I've pressed my seams open, I'm not feeling that bump. I'm feeling a very nice and flat seam, similar to this spot. That's why I'm pressing it open again, so that as I'm running the long arm over it, I'm not going to get any kind of a bump. Okay? So I'll continue to press these, and then, believe it or not, we're going to be putting this block together. All right, it's time to put our block together. I'm going to start with my 4 center, or my 4 outside pieces that go in the center row. Then I'm going to put my center piece in. I love these little bumblebees. And then I'm going to put my 4 corners on. And this is how our block is going to go together. Simple 9 patch, and I'm going to put it together like a simple 9 patch. I'll sew these 2 together, add that 3rd, these 2 together, add this 3rd, these 2, add this 3rd, and then sew my 3 rows together. In between those, before I sew the 3 rows together, I will press these, and I will be pressing my seams open. But I will stop and press them just so that it lays nice and flat. So I'll be back in just a minute. I have pressed it, and you can see I've pressed all my seams open. And I've got it laying out now, and I'm getting ready to go sew my 3 rows together. But before I do that, I want to show you how I'm going to match up these corners. So I'll take my 2 pieces, and what I'm going to do is take them and just line them up like this. And hopefully you can see that. I will take them. If I'm unsure that I have gotten my seams lined up, I can take a pin and just stick it right through and double check and make sure that it comes out in the seam on the back side. I can hold that pin there, and what I'll do is take and put a pin on each side of it. And then I'll remove it. What that will do is keep my pieces together right there at that seam. So as I stitch over it, it's not going to move because those pins have really secured it. So I'm going to do that again. Just line it up, double check, and then I'll put a pin on each side of that seam to keep it nice and secure for me. So I'm going to go sew these 3 rows together, and then I'll be back to show you our finished block. All right, I've sewn my block. I'm going to set my seams. Two more. And then I'm going to press my seams open again. On this entire block, that's what I've done, is press the seams open. So I'm going to take my strip stick and stick it right under there. Flatten this right out. We'll open this up. And now I'm just going to press this down. Alright, so there's my two seams. Now I'm going to take it and turn it over. Just like I did before, I'm just going to run my hands across it. Make sure that I'm laying nice and flat. I got a little bump there. Not sure what's going on. Okay, now I'm just going to press it from the top. I will grab my squaring and square it up per the directions so that I know my block is square and ready to be put into the quilt. So here is block number 20 of our springtime sampler. I'm really pleased with it. Here is block 13 that we just did. So here's one, and then there's the other. And I know that they're alike, but it amazes me how much just a little bit of color difference makes in a quilt block. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end of block number 20 of our springtime sampler. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below. And if you're not already, please do come on over and sign up for our Facebook group. We would love to be able to see what it is that you're working on. Thanks again, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.